So the weather's good out that way?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. We're in the low 70s.
Oh man, it's what is it here right now? It is 43,
Okay.
which isn't bad for right now. Actually, it's kind of
Yeah.
not bad. Yesterday it was freezing because it was windy. Like it was a cold, biting wind. At least it's not windy today. I can't wait to get back out there for races. Oh, I've never run out there. Excited.
Yes.
Just want to get through Dopey and then come home for 2 days and then fly out that way.
Wow. Just doing a pit stop back home.
I know. Well, actually, it'll be like back in college, like for, come home 2 days, like work. So I've been out of the office for 5 and then get back on the old airplane, come out there and run again. Wait, though. I love Disneyland. God, there's something about Disneyland. It's just so cool.
Yeah, I love them both for different reasons, but they're both great.
They are fun. So you go by Leslie, not Lesleyanne?
Yeah, Lesleyanne's my legal name, but no one calls me that.
I didn't. Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I think it's in my email.
Okay, so. Yeah, I'll fix that in the post. Sorry about that.
It's fine. I don't dislike the name. It's just no one calls me Lesleyanne. That's all.
I think you're in trouble. Like
my grandmother does.
Yeah, I was saying my grandma would be like Mike Chuck. I was like, oh, my God, I'm in trouble whenever I got the Mike Chuck because she's the only one that ever called me that because my name's Michael Charles.
Oh,
like Mike Chuck. I'm like, oh Lord, grandma knows something.
I love Mike Chuck.
So my 4th grade teacher was in the same Sunday school class with my grandma. So like anytime I did anything wrong in 4th grade, man, because we always went to my grandma's house on Sundays after church to have dinner. And so, oh man, if I did something wrong in school in 4th grade, I just knew I was dead after church on Sundays because Mrs. Graves would tell my grandma in Sunday school, and then my grandma would tell my dad, and my grandpa obviously was at lunch too. So I mean, I was getting it from my grandma, my grandpa, my dad. I was just like, I'm a dead duck.
That is so funny.
When I got out of that class.
Yeah, small world.
You do not want your grandma and your 4th grade teacher in the same Sunday school class.
No, definitely not.
Especially when you were the class clown, always getting in trouble. I mean, I'm so old, like they would just draw like a circle because we had like blackboards. I went to a private Christian school for elementary school, so it was like converted church rooms. And I don't know what they did, but they were just like walls that were chalkboards. And I guess they just painted stuff that made them chalkboards. And so they would just draw, Mrs. Graves would just draw a circle on the chalkboard. You said to put your nose in it. Like and you just had to stand there with your nose in that circle until she told you to stop. And if it was, and she whoop you with a ruler. I mean, it was crazy. It's a wonder.
That's so funny.
If I would have done that, because I taught 17 years, if I'd even thought half those things, I'd have been fired. I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Roll Tide. She's down in Alabama. All right, so this is 2404. All right, here we go. I think we're good. Oh, mute. Okay, I'll put my phone on Do Not Disturb, even though my dad will still bust through because he's on my priority list. Even though I've been doing shows on Wednesday nights for 15 years. He still calls on Wednesdays and like, oh, you're doing a show? Yeah, every Wednesday night for 15 years. Like you worked in radio, dude. And like you're always on Facebook too. I mean, yeah. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2404 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope everybody had a great weekend, got out there and did some of your shopping for the holidays. It's coming up quick. And, well, if you're like me, you probably didn't, but we are back from a little quick jaunt down to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, here in Missouri, as the Francis Howell varsity cheer squad had their state finals this past weekend. And, well, we record this show a little bit early, so I don't know the results, so I'm not going to say anything to jinx anything, but just hope everybody had fun. Maybe Hardware's coming back to St. Charles County, maybe not. But proud of the girls either way. So we're going to have a good time today, kicking off the week with a fun trip report. And we're headed out to a place where I cannot wait to be in just one short month, where I'll be lacing them up to get running. Very close to this area. We're headed out to Riverside, California with our friend Leslie. Leslie, thanks for coming on the show today. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on the show. So how are things out on is it true West Coast, Best Coast? That's what I've always heard.
I think so, but I'm very biased. I've only lived here. I am a sucker for the dry heat. So
very nice. Keep it just nice and comfortable for all of us runners. I mean, Florida can be very temperamental in January. Some years, I mean, they have to shorten the course because it's too hot. I've run marathon weekends where it's spit like, freezing ice pellets on me. It's, you just don't know what you're getting down in Walt Disney World. I hear it a few weeks, but I just hope it's nice weather in California. Typically it's more calm out there, I think.
Yeah. It is very, very calm and fairly predictable.
All right, let's hope so. For the love of God, for all the miles we're going to be running in about 2 weeks, we just need good weather. Okay, so I just started a ton of nightmares for all of our runners out there, but let's just don't worry about that right now. So let's have a good time. We got a couple of trips to talk about today, but before we do that, give us some of your background into your Disney fandom. Kind of, I'm guessing West Coast, Southern California, maybe grew up Disneyland, but how was it in your childhood, or did you discover it in your adulthood? How'd it go for you?
Yeah. We're Riverside's not too far from Disneyland. We're a little over a half-hour drive, assuming no traffic, of course. But I've decided in my 40s I'm gonna steer into how old I sound. But the first ticket prices I remember was $19, and annual passes were $59.
Oh my God!
And I was a young adult when Disney's I'm blanking out. Disney California Adventure opened up when I was, I think, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very different then. But we had a pass for both parks for $99. So that's what I did in my late teens and college years, is we would go to Disneyland. Again, I'm going to sound crazy old, but in the late 90s, swing dancing made that resurgence, and we would go swing dancing at the Carnation Plaza on Saturday nights.
Yeah, sounds like a big was it Voodoo Daddy? Big
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and my parents encouraged it. It was good, wholesome fun. So we would go swing dance at Disneyland, and we had some prom dinners there. Huge Disneyland fan. We were actually pass holders until my daughter got into high school, because the sports took over our weekends, so we could no longer go. So the passes didn't make sense for us financially, but we still go a few times a year, usually with the Southern California passes.
That's so cool. I mean, for one thing, I like the idea that you went there kind of for the swing dancing, for the social aspects of it, because while I didn't, go to Disneyland until just a couple of years ago and discovered how amazingly awesome Disneyland is, and I can't get it off my mind. I can't get enough of it at this point in my life. I have studied a lot of the history in the time since. And I mean, it sounds like you were doing a lot of the things that made Disneyland such a special place, in the 50s and 60s, with like the date night at Disneyland, and they had all the live entertainment. That's really what it was noted for with the locals. They would come out. I mean, it sounds like you were kind of rediscovering that with your friends, in the 90s. And the prices, though, and it cracks me up, because what you said parallels exactly what my friends did. We had season passes to Six Flags, but the prices were very similar. Like we'd pay $49-$50 for a year pass. And we would just, because we were broke the rest of the year, we'd pay that $50. And then when we had no money, the rest of the summer, we'd be like, well, what are we going to do? And gas back then was cheap. At least it was here in Missouri, pretty cheap here in Missouri. I had an MGB, which, was basically a go-kart, didn't use hardly any gas. So we just drive the 40 minutes out to Six Flags and just kind of hang out, because, you already paid and you had your parking pass. You just walk in, and you wouldn't eat in there because it was expensive. You just ride rides, it was all paid for. Sounds like you guys had kind of the similar experience, but at Disneyland, oh my gosh, how cool.
Yeah. I know back then parking was $7, and we would eat on the way in, just go to Carl's Jr., get a 99-cent Famous Star, and then go into Disney for the night.
Sounds similar to us. Like we had like a restaurant road down from Six Flags, down on the service road. It was Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell. There's a Pizza Hut, so you just knew, you're not going to pay Six Flags prices for food. You're going to go down on a restaurant road out there and get something cheap, and then you're going to go in full, and you're going to be good to go. But That sounds super interesting. So, what do you remember from the past, though, before we dive into these two trips? Something that was like a memory from back in the day that you wish was still around, or something like that.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Oh gosh, on the spot, I don't know,
I
Mike.
know
I'm
it's
trying to
hard.
think.
I'm a huge nostalgia fan, and I love our old Six Flags. They had like the old Jetstream was
Yeah,
very long ago roller coaster that was fun. They had little MGB cars you could drive, stuff like that.
you know, you just reminded me. I was fortunate to be alive during the buckets era, where you would take the buckets
Mhm.
over from where Autopia is through the Matterhorn, like it went
Oh,
through the mountain, and we would always yell. We go, "Arr," like we're a yeti, and then when we were at Disney World this last trip, we were talking to a family and they said, "Does this scare you?" And my friend said, "No, because we're buckets. Like we grew up in the bucket area, which was way more wonky than the Skyliner is, so didn't scare us." But yeah, we the buckets were good. Trying to think what else. Used to have the original the Carousel of Progress was Innovations in my time,
mhm.
and that's where all the cool cast members worked because it was very interactive and it
Yeah.
had all these VR experiences. And again, late 90s, so it was really cool. It was a really cool thing. And last time I went, it was a Star Wars meet
Yeah,
and greet
I
exhibit.
was gonna say I met Darth Vader there. Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, totally. The
So,
pizza places
but
over
yeah,
there.
that was really fun.
Yeah, it's so funny. VR. I'm just picturing like the MTV commercial, that commercial, the video for Dire Straits. Like it's probably what you saw in the
Yes.
VR. Like we're
Yeah.
delivering color TVs, like that old they're all choppy looking. Anyways, so let's
It was
talk
cutting
about
edge. It was
no,
cutting edge.
absolutely. I love that video. Like, gotta deliver those microwave ovens. So, custom kitchens. Anyway, so let's talk. We're going to talk about two trips. I want to jump into the second trip. We just got to talk about the sheer energy you put into this kind of last minute trip. But the focus of this first trip, was kind of a Universal Walt Disney World combo trip for a special reason. So tell us about how this trip came about.
Yeah, so this one was it's extra special for me because what year is it? It's 2023. In 2022, I was on a vacation with my nieces and my daughter and my husband. And my oldest niece told me, her name's Hannah, she's 29, and she's closer to you than she is to me. She actually lives in Kimberline City, Missouri.
Oh, cool.
So she expressed a desire to go to Universal with us and Disney World. And my daughter said, "Can we go for my high school graduation trip?" So this year, my daughter turned 18, graduated high school, and the next weekend we went out and did a combo trip. So we did 2 full park days at Universal and 5 days at Disney World. No break days. We had 1 sleep-in day. But yeah, it was a very fun trip for us. We stayed on site at Universal at Sapphire Falls. If anyone hasn't been there, it is a really, really tropical, lovely resort, and they have water taxis. So you don't have to take the buses or walk. You can just float on up and go into the parks. So we really try to save our feet. I need to sit as much as possible if I'm going to walk as much as I do.
I was gonna say, because the second trip we're gonna talk about, you did not, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So for folks who don't know, Universal, Sapphire Falls kind of falls right in the middle.
Yeah.
Like if you're comparing like Walt Disney World resorts,
Mm-hmm.
it would be kind of like an upscale moderate.
Moderate, yeah.
Thinking about how kind of the classifications but it's a nice hotel. I mean, I haven't stayed there, but I've done a tour resort, review, not a review, but a tour of the rooms and everything over there. And I kind of really like this place. It's got a lot of nice dining options, got a nice lounge area. It's got great pools. It's got it all. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. They had a pool with a small water slide. We loved the pool. Yeah, you're right. Great dining. The staff was amazing. And then the reason we booked it is because we wanted that transportation. We couldn't really afford to stay on site like at Hard Rock or Royal Pacific. They were just a little out of our price range because we had 4 adults and we needed 2 rooms. So Sapphire Falls fit the bill. It was more affordable, but still with the water taxi, or we could walk if we were feeling up to it. We didn't, but you could, which is nice to know.
I mean, You might want to walk if like you go to Toothsome's and have one of those big shakes with like another dessert on top of the shake, like I had when I was there. That's why I walked all the way back to Cabana Bay because I felt like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have had that whole thing. But it was worth it. So real quick though, tell us about just your time at the two parks over at Universal. Was there anything that stood out to you guys, like Potter fans, that was your focus? Was it nostalgia, like because ET is the best ride at Universal in my opinion? I mean, there's no debating that, but I mean, anything else?
Yeah, ET's great, and it was fun for us because my niece had never been to Universal Orlando, and so we took her on ET, and just hearing her talking quietly to herself, going, "Ooh, nightmares! Ooh, nightmares!" Because all of the people on planet were, they're a little weird.
They are. There's a few things that are like, is this real life? Like, am I just having a nightmare? Or am I having a fever dream? What's going on?
Yeah, but we did. We tried to hit up everything we could. We did the Simpsons ride. We did the Men in Black ride, which is really fun. We did do ET, as I mentioned. I think we rode a lot of things. We were fortunate to get on Hagrid's and Velocicoaster, and we did some water rides, which I think was the wettest I've ever gotten on a ride. It was the Dudley Do-Right themed ride. Whew, we pretty much went underwater.
Yeah, that was one when we were over there because we were doing training at Universal a few years back, and that's one I just tapped out. I did the Jurassic Park one because I was like, at least there's like more than just getting just dunking yourself, right?
Yes.
That one I was like, I mean, I may as well jump in a lake. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, no thanks.
Yeah. We even had ponchos. We were prepared, and we had flip-flops, and we still got absolutely soaked. I don't know what the water did, but it got every single inch of our bodies.
That's what happens. That's if you sit next to me on Cali River Rapids at Animal Kingdom, that happens too. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a magnet. I mean, the thing, it will rotate. If you ride Thunder River at Six Flags in St. Louis too. I mean, I'm the unluckiest dude. If you sit across from me, you're going to be totally dry. You are guaranteed. I'm just telling you, it happens every time. So, is there anything else you'd recommend for Universal before we head over to Walt Disney World?
We were really impressed with Three Broomsticks. We did that for breakfast in Diagon Alley, and the staff was amazing. The food was varied. My husband and I are vegetarians, and my daughter and niece are not, and we were all very happy with our breakfast. And it was just such a great way to start the day. It was nice to sit for a few minutes, get some coffee. We really loved the Three Broomsticks. That was great.
Great recommendation. People love that place too. I mean, it gets consistently rave reviews for the theming, the food, the overall atmosphere, and just like I said, the dining options. So it's great to hear. Okay, so over to Walt Disney World. You guys did it right as far as your accommodations over at Walt Disney World. See, Sapphire Falls is nice. Don't get me wrong. You even stepped it up when you headed over to Worlds. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so because it was my daughter's graduation trip, I let her pick, and she wanted to do the Beach Club Resort. So we were able to get a 2-bedroom villa Tuesday through Sunday, and it was just a standard view. But that room, it was bigger than my first apartment, Mike. Wow. It was crazy how much space we had. And laundry.
Yeah.
I mean,
those villas are nice. You want to fall in love with them. They make it really hard to go home. Because I've only stayed in like one of the larger villas once. We had a 2-bedroom at Old Key West with Scott's family before a cruise one time because he's DVC. So we split it, and I gave him some money. And I'm telling you what, that thing at Old Key West was so big. I told him, I'm like, because our old house was super small. I said, this thing might have the same square footage as our house. Like, it was so big. The girls would be in the villa. We didn't know where they were, because it had the deck, looked over a golf course, and God, it was so fun. And the thing is, I don't know if this happened for you. I ask you real quick. You were closer to the park, so because you could walk to the studios and walk to Epcot. Old Key West is a little bit different. It's almost like a little community. But what I found is when we were there, it totally kind of had us hanging out at the villa because we're with our friends too that we don't see as often, more than going to the theme parks. We had all these plans to go and do this and that at Disney Springs and go to the theme parks and do that. A lot of times we went and got groceries. We were baking cookies and we were just hanging out playing board games. it really did kind of change the way the vacation went for those 3 or 4 days while we were there. I don't know if that happened for you guys.
Yeah, we a big theme of this trip was we had to pivot because of the weather, because we were there, it's hurricane season, and so we had a lot of heavy rain, but we had a great place to stay where we could all spread out, and we didn't really watch TV, but we had 3 TVs if we'd wanted to do that. And my husband and I would make coffee. We made breakfast in our villa too, like sausage and eggs and things like that. So yeah, it was a great place to land, and we didn't feel like we were missing out on vacation because it was so much space. So
agreed. It's but it does kind of it makes the urgency to go to a theme park kind of melt away slightly, because and Disney doesn't use these terms in their marketing anymore, that home away from home. I think they did this more in the 90s, but that's exactly how I felt when I was there. It felt very comfortable, very, because you have a living room, like, and if you're meeting up with family that you don't get to see, and I consider Scott's family like my family, but they're in Michigan and we're, Missouri, and the only time we see each other is at Walt Disney World, but we don't get to ever just like, sit down like we're in somebody's house, and just like hang out. It's different to hang out together in a theme park because you're always constantly moving, and standing in lines not the same as everybody's, got a, soda, and you're playing a game of Yahtzee or something at a coffee table, and everybody's got got the game on. It was very but we're at Walt Disney World too, and then we go to Disney Springs at night, grab something if we wanted to eat, on a boat.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So tell some highlights from this time though. It looks like you guys had some really good meals. I'm looking at you went to some of my favorite places.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. So yeah, we'd never been to Homecoming yet. So our first night, we strolled over to Epcot and then left there around 8 and went to Homecoming, and we all really, really enjoyed that. We had amazing service, exceptional food, and leftovers that we could bring back to the villa. So that was like one of my favorite moments of the trip. Was like the next day, my husband was hungry. It was like 11 p.m. and he goes, "Oh, I have leftovers from Homecoming." So he's bringing out mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and eating it in our villa. So really enjoyed Homecoming. Wednesday, we called it our Tron Day because we had not, Tron had opened, I believe, in April. And so this was our first trip after it opened. And so we wanted to get that done. And we were successful. It was kind of a mixed blessing. We got in the virtual queue and we were group 4. Oh. So I had to rush the family. We gotta go.
I never thought about that because you think you won the lottery, right? Because you're like, yes, I didn't get group 96. I got group 4. Everybody, let's go.
Yeah. So we had to, we actually, I think this might be good information to share. I'm glad this came up. So we were group 4 and we got to the park. Oh gosh. I think our window got called right away. Like the park opened at 9 and it got called at 9:15. And my niece got pulled away for extra scanning. And so I went up to the guest services window and said, "What's the grace period on this? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 15? And she told me, just get there as soon as you can. As long as it's clear you're not abusing it, they should let you in. But don't go at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So we got there, I don't know, 15 minutes past our boarding group. They didn't care. No one even said anything. So it was fine.
And I think too, that'll kind of, as we move further and further away from the opening of Tron, that'll probably loosen up as the popularity and the intensity of the experience kind of dies down. But that's good to know. And I'm a worry wart. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like,
yes, I stress all the time.
Days. Exactly same. Like
I'm such a rule follower. So that's the thing is, if it says 9:15, I want to get there at 9:14 just in case. Like,
if you're on time, you're 5 minutes late in my book. That's probably my life. And that's why I felt bad about tonight because I was kind of late with the show because Mallory's cheerleading. But the whole thing, exactly. I'd be like, oh, of all days for somebody to get pulled for like extra screening. Are you kidding me? We have a virtual queue. Like, if we're just strolling down Main Street, USA, never happening. If we're just getting coffee. Exactly.
Yeah. But it was fine. She just explained to me that as long as it was clear that we weren't trying to like cheat the system and go at night or something, she says, just get there as soon as you can. You should be fine. I'm like, excellent. So that was fun. Glad we did it. Everyone fit comfortably. It was great. I love every time it's the first experience is just really, really
I
special.
agree.
So.
I agree. Except my first experience, I got busted with something. What did I have in my pocket? I had something in my. I got on the bike, and they're like, "You have something in your pocket. We're shut it down." I had to get off the thing, take the walk of shame, put something in my locker. I think I had sunglasses on. It was so
That's funny.
embarrassing, and I totally didn't do it on purpose. I just totally forgot. I was solo, and I
Yeah.
just had him in. Oh man, it was because I am a rule follower, and I was
embarrassing.
not trying to get away with anything. And I was like, "Oh my god!" It was like in the Monsters Inc. movie where somebody had a sock on them. That's
Yes.
exactly how I felt. I was like,
2319.
I was like, they're gonna shower me
2319.
and like shave me or something. I'm like, this is the worst. Everybody's looking at because in that queue, everybody looks at you, right? Because
Mhm.
they're all looking down at you, like, look at that clown. He's trying to
Yeah.
scam me. But it is a great ride. I love it.
That's
I'm glad
fun.
you like it too.
Yeah, and we were lucky. Like just a little bonus. It was our first time riding it, and we got the very front. So my husband just said Millie gets it. It's her graduation trip, and so she and I got the front, which was really fun on the video. You know that you get in the app. We got to be the first people through.
Got to give a dad point.
Yes.
Dad point there. All right. So give us some more highlights though from either that day or just I just love hearing about the trip.
We had kind of a downer, but it's a learning opportunity. On Thursday, so the Tron day was great. We did take a midday break and go back because it was the extra magic hours for staying at a deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we were there till 1 a.m. And so we slept in a little, and our first appointment of the day was 50's Primetime Diner at Hollywood Studios at 12:15. And our plan was to walk to the Skyliners and then take it to Hollywood Studios. But there was so much rain that they'd shut it down. And I was very frustrated because, where I was at, I didn't have a lot of options. I couldn't walk. I mean, I could, but we didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pouring rain. They did bring buses for us. But it took a minute. I want to say 20 to 30 minutes till the buses came. And then we were late to our lunch reservation, but it was only maybe 15 minutes and they were great. I just explained them. I said, sorry, the Skyliners were down and we couldn't get here. But they did let us go in, and we had the funniest server. We still talk about her. I don't remember her name, but we were laughing so hard at this. So she was giving us attitude about how I caught that chicken that you're eating right now, and I fell in the mud if you give a care. we were just hysterical. And my niece, I didn't warn her about that restaurant and how the servers could be, so she was like, this lady's really friendly.
Where did you bring me for lunch? Yes. And what is going on here in Florida? I love it.
But it was good. And we were fortunate. We hadn't seen Phantasmic since they added a few new scenes. And so we did the dining package to make sure that we could kind of not have to camp out to get a good spot. And that was worth it for us. Don't have to do it every time, but really enjoyed seeing Moana, and the weather cleared up for us. So we were a little worried early in the day that it was going to be rained out, but we were good.
Okay, got to ask you this though. Phantasmic Disneyland, Phantasmic Studios. Which one's better?
I think Disneyland's better.
Yeah, it is. I hate to say it because it's my new thing. That pirate thing is so cool. And you're right.
Yeah.
There. I mean, I know you're standing, but man, and it totally got me because Scott had seen it before, and he's like, he got us like right up on he got us a great spot because I hadn't seen it. He's like, gotta see this. I'm like, I've seen Phantasmic. You're like, you have not seen Phantasmic out here. So we get right up there, we're like right under a tree or something, and he's just standing next to me. Boom! That cannon goes off, and that thing's right. Like, I mean, it's like 15 feet away. My heart like jumped out of my chest, and I probably jumped 5 feet off the ground. He was laughing so hard. That thing scared me to death because he knew it was coming. I didn't see it. Yeah, it was. I love it. I'm glad it's coming back here in the spring or early summer. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good. I do admit the world experience is a lot easier because you can sit.
It is
so much easier, but just talking show to show, I think Disneyland for sure.
Yeah, it's cool that they're different though. It's always I'm all about that. Like I love the Cars Lands out in California. Don't bring it to the studios and give us stuff. Like we don't need to have Galaxy's Edge at both. Now the more I think about it, I like the reasons to kind of jump around and get to have different stuff. Variety's great.
Totally agree.
Cool. All right, so you guys also did Yak and Yeti over at the Animal Kingdom. So what highlights from your Animal Kingdom time over there?
Yeah, I'm not even exaggerating. We had the best server I think we'd ever had at Yak and Yeti, and we told her as much. We her name's Jennifer. Unfortunately, it's a very common name, so there might be more than one Jennifer, but she was fantastic. And I used to be a waitress. My husband works in hospitality, and we told her, like, you are the best server in the history of the world. You're so good. But yeah, we love Yak and Yeti. We think the food is fantastic. The theming is so fun, and just get off your feet for a minute and get some iced tea refills. It's a great place to go. So really like it. I
haven't been there in years, but I love it. But the problem is there's so many restaurants, and I'm a creature of habit, right? I have my favorites and I always want to go back to my favorites. And then that leaves very little time to go to either new places or places like Yak and Yeti that great food, great atmosphere, but it just doesn't have that like hook. It's not a character meal. 50s prime time, like you said, it's got the whole, shtick. It's got that, sci-fi. I can't ever get in there, but it'd be fun because it's got the cars, it's got the movie trailers. There's some kind of draw to it. Yak and Yeti is just a cool restaurant with a great environment and awesome food. But and there's a lot of great counter service food at Animal Kingdom right now too. So I can't go counter service.
Yeah, we love it's with Yak and Yeti, we can't skip that restaurant because my husband just loves the Asian fusion. Mm-hmm. And I mean, especially if you're doing a multi-day trip, there's so many burgers and fries. It's so nice to mix it up with something, and I love burgers and fries, but I don't need it twice a day, every day. And so to be able to sit down and have, seared ahi tuna and garlic, noodles and just totally different food. We just always end up at Yak and Yeti.
Well, I'd imagine that's a great restaurant for vegetarians, right? I mean, because I'm not. I mean, I'm the opposite of a vegetarian, but I mean, I would assume that has a great menu for vegetarians.
Yeah, they have very, very satisfying like pad thai. They have tofu options there if you want tofu. But yeah, we get garlic noodles. They have a lot of options for us that are very, very good. And then they also have very palate friendly things like the chicken and the shoestring fries. That's what my daughter gets. So something for everyone.
I think I got like fried green beans or something that you dip.
Tempura green beans. And my hack on that, if you like spicy, they have a wasabi aioli, and it's spicy as heck. And you get both sauces. And one of the managers came by and said, "Oh, that's our hack too. You get the sauce that comes with it that's sweet. And then you get the wasabi aioli on the side, and it's spicy, and you can go back and forth."
And I read on Twitter just yesterday that people who eat wasabi, that's like the ultimate hack for your brain. It keeps your brain your brain never ages if you eat wasabi. I mean, you probably burn your brain totally out, is what I'm thinking, because wasabi is so smoking hot. But apparently, it's like world hack to keep your brain healthy. But I don't know how, you read on, I'm sure it's true if it's on Twitter, right? I'm
sure it's true.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, right. I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to believe that. And I'm going to burn my tongue off too at the same time. Yeah, you got me. So you mentioned there was a lot of rain while you guys were down there. So how did that affect what you guys did? Did you miss out on anything? Were you able to accomplish what you wanted? Or what was that kind of side effect?
Yeah, we did accomplish everything we wanted, but our takeaway from this trip was, if your priority is something that's going to close in the rain, do that first, because most of the time the showers would come in the afternoon.
That's a good idea.
I'm trying to think. Universal's the easiest example. We really wanted to do Hagrid's and Velocicoaster, and both of those are not fun if it's raining. They might close. If they don't close, you're getting pelted with rain.
Yeah.
So we did those before noon. Because they would close like 3 p.m. till whenever. And then, of course, when they opened up afterwards, everyone went to the line. So that would be my only tip, is that if your priority is going to close, possibly do that early. But we had to pivot a lot. Like with the Skyliner being closed on our way to our lunch reservation, that was a little bit of a bummer. There were a couple times we wanted to do midday breaks at our pool, and it was closed. Because they said, well, if there's lightning so that was kind of a bummer too. We would just hang out in the villa, went to Beaches and Cream and killed some time there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. but I did feel out of place because I had my swimsuit and a cover up. But they were like, it happens, we're right by the pool. It happens all the time. It's fine. But, yeah, we just, you have to expect the rain, and just like, we brought flip flops and water friendly shoes. And then when it started pouring down, we would kind of pull over, take off our regular shoes and put on the flip flops and a poncho, and then just keep on trekking, through the parks. So.
Yeah. When you're there in June, it's going to happen. June, I mean, summertime, it happens. So like you said, though, I think prioritize morning time, get those, things you got to get done. That's a good point. Cause come, 2:00, all bets are off, and it's usually out by like dinner time.
Yeah.
So you just got to watch that, but that's a good point. And also I love that tip about the Skyliner. You have to be aware because the Skyliner could shut down for weather at any time. So just kind of have a backup plan. That's a good tip.
Yes.
So before we move on to this other trip that you took just recently, which I got to get into because you guys did a lot in a little bit of time, but one last memory from this trip. I mean, it's your daughter's graduation trip. Did she have any feedback from the trip, memory like that you're going to hold on to from this particular trip that you'll always remember?
We just, the overall theme being her graduation was really special. We got her the Mickey Mouse ears, which, I'm going to get weepy. I remember when she was little and she saw them at a Disney store. And I said, one day when it's your class, you're wearing these for me. And she's like, of course. And so getting those for her was very special. And she wore them every single day, and she got her button. We're celebrating, and so many cast members congratulated her and, made some small talk about what's next. You're going to work, you're going to go to school, like taking some time off. They were it was just so neat to see her like proud of an accomplishment. It's a milestone. And then we got a Christmas ornament that was a Mickey with graduation ears, and we put it up, last weekend, first time on the tree. I went, oh,
I know. And you're like, it was just 2 weeks ago that you had her there, as a 5-year-old looking at those ears, right? I mean, it goes so fast. And I think that's why you got to treasure all these trips. I'm seeing it more, like I said, I just celebrated my 50th birthday, and it does, like, you start reflecting more as you get a little bit older. And I honestly still feel like I'm 21 and trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. But, I'm starting to see, like, you really have to, because my youngest now is, halfway through her sophomore year. Like in 2 more years, my youngest will be out of high school. And it's just one of those things, like, I'm really savoring like every basketball game, every football game that she cheers, every competition, where 10 years ago it was more of like it's another practice we got to take her to. It's another game we got to go to. It's your perspective changes when all of a sudden we were talking about this in the pre-show, right? Because your daughter is also into athletics, is that you're consumed by all the competitions for a while, but then all of a sudden you realize it's not there forever. You know what I'm saying? And they grow up, they become adults, and I mean, you get proud of them in a different way because you see them become, they start to have their own families, they become their own people, and they're very successful and all that. But I mean, you want to still have that 5-year-old. I still see my 27-year-old daughter is the 7-year-old that I used to coach. When I see her on TV on ESPN Plus sitting on the bench for her basketball team, she's yelling at all these girls, and stuff like that. And I still see like me yelling at her when she was 7, like, you got to keep hustling. So it's one of those things to savor these memories. That's why I love talking to folks like you, because I get it, how cool is that though? That I love that idea of the Christmas ornament, because you'll have that on the tree every year. Remember this trip. But I love the idea about the ears, because I didn't think about that. That's a great tip for a lot of folks.
Yes.
You need to do that.
Yeah. It's very special.
Does she keep those? Or they like hanging somewhere, like the ears? She got them like at her room?
Yeah, she has little hooks. I think technically the hooks are for ukuleles, but she puts the ears on the hooks. It's a good idea. So she's gonna keep them.
Well, cool. Well, congratulations to her. So make sure you pass that along. It's super cool. All right. So now let's get down to, you mentioned you didn't want to be on your feet too much. Well, that goes out the door with this one. So last month in November, you had the opportunity, as many of our listeners do, because of, I think you said it was like expiring
travel credits. Yeah.
Travel credits. Okay. That gets us all down to Disney destinations. Sometimes we're not expecting it, frequent flyer miles are going to expire, hotel points, whatever. And all of a sudden it would cost me money not to go. Right. Yeah. So boom, all of a sudden we're there. Like, and that's how it happens. So tell us how this came together. And you were down there at the beginning of November. You hooked in a bestie. I've done this with Scotty G many times. Scotty G's got me. I hear you. You're talking to the choir right here. But give us some lowdown on this trip. It was kind of last minute, it sounds like.
Yeah. For me, part of why I like Disney World so much is I love the planning. I love the anticipation, and all of my trips I plan 9 months in advance, at like maybe further. But this one, it was the most last minute trip I've ever planned. I planned it. I think I was 29 days out. Yeah, it was, it had its own blessings though. Like knowing that I was planning for something just a couple weeks away was really fun. It just felt so, like, once I made reservations, I got it. They were locked in. I'm like, I'll be there. If that makes sense. But yeah, it was, I had some credits that were going to expire, and I really wanted to go to Disney World. And I talked to my hubby and I said, I'm either going to invite my mother or my best friend. And I talked to my mom, and she's actually recovering from knee surgery. So she said, catch me next time. And so I tagged in my bestie, 29 years of friendship. And he hasn't been, he had never been to Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. He went to Epcot when he was 9 years old. So he barely remembered it. He says, I remember the ball, and I remember, I don't even know what else he remembered. But yeah, he'd been to Magic Kingdom in the last 10 years with his nephews, but that was the extent of his experience. So.
Wow. Yeah. He had a lot of new stuff to see. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So did you did you try to, because I mean, you had such little time, right? I mean, and I think a lot of us as the big Disney fan try to, air quotes here, school the rest of our traveling party, prepare them, get everybody ready, everybody on the same page before we hit the ground in Florida. Or did you just like, we're going to get here, we're just going to roll with it? I mean, because you guys did Universal and Disney all kind of just at a breakneck pace.
Yeah. So we met for lunch, and I gave him a printed itinerary, this is part of why our friendship works, is he's very fun and very funny and light. And I am not. But we appreciate each other and what we bring to the friendship. So right. I said, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it this way. And he was like, I speak this language. And we got an Airbnb, which this was my first experience not staying like on property. But what was great for us is that we each had our own bedrooms, our own bathrooms, and a hot tub, which saved us because our feet were hurting really bad. But yeah, we arrived on a Sunday night, had a great flight in on Delta. And then Monday, I think we got to park, like we were within the first 30 minutes of park opening. But we did 2 parks one day. We had great weather, no rain, a little bit of gloom, but no rain. And we did everything we wanted to do. Like, it was such a great time. And it was so fun to be there with him, to ride all these rides and just cram it in. And only 2 people, we moved very quickly through the parks.
Yeah, so. I could imagine just 2 adults, you're just ripping through. So you started with Universal first and then went to Disney, or? Yeah,
we did one day at Universal. And then I think, gosh, it closed pretty early, 7 o'clock. So we went to Publix after that and got food, and then just went back to the house. And I think I ate Gouda macaroni and cheese that I got at Publix.
Oh man, I hope somebody got a pub sub.
We were looking, but we ended up not. But we were trying to.
Opportunity missed. I go all the way to Florida for those things.
Yeah, we were looking, but they didn't have anything that looked good at the moment. But it is on my list.
So good. No, so yeah, okay. So Universal, you go over there, and so just real quick though, because we have about 10 minutes. Just give us some of the. I mean, because you're right. I mean, when it's just 2 adults, and really you didn't have that much time, but that leads to just the spontaneity of everything, right? Because you don't have to have a huge agenda. You could just kind of see what pops up. And how much did he kind of lead the way, like with his bewilderment of new experiences, like, oh, what's that? And you're kind of like, well, let's go check it out. Did you have any of that stuff pop up?
Well, no, This trip was very like game face. You know, I did ask him, I said, your opinion matters. What do you want to do? And he made me laugh because he says, okay, I want to do Hagrid's and Velocicoaster because my friends who have been say those are very unique attractions. Got to do it. With Disney, he said, I need to go on that Avatar ride. He didn't even know what it was called, which is fine because I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yep.
And I think Tron, just, you know, that's the new kid on the block, and Guardians of the Galaxy. And then he said, if we have time, I wouldn't mind trying the Ratatouille ride. So he had just maybe 5 or 6 things that were on his to-do list. But yet at Universal, we started at Islands of Adventure and we just literally did everything in order. Like we started at Hulk because that's the first roller coaster to the left. And the water rides were down for refurbishment, which was fine by me because of what happened last time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was no harm, no foul. We rode Kong, Skull Island. Like we just went in a circle, and it was a Monday, November 6th. No one was there. It was just ghost town. I mean, I think maybe the crowds might have showed up that weekend for Veterans Day, but it was very not crowded at all when we were there. So we rode everything that we wanted to ride. We did Hagrid's 2 times. We did it last ride of the night, got in about 10 minutes before park closing, and it was only about a 30-minute wait. And so it was fun for us because it has the big old light on the front of the bike and we were on the front. And so that was kind of a cool experience for us.
Sweet. That's awesome though, when you can catch Universal with no crowds, because I mean,
yes,
it's something about that place. It feels even more empty than Walt Disney World just never feels that empty. You know what I'm saying? Like Universal, when it's empty, feels more like a Six Flags, like on a, like a resident school, like a local park, more than like Walt Disney World just feels more like a global park all the time. To me, it just never feels like local events affect it. It's just global. Everybody's there all the time. I never catch a low crowd day there. Never. Even if I'm there, doesn't matter. I could be there anytime. Like for a social media event, when they say, "Oh, this is low crowd, we're gonna have you down." It's always busy. So over at Walt Disney World, how'd you guys attack that? Because you called it, I love it, the highlight reel kind of trip.
Highlight reel.
Big stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at my itinerary. Tuesday, we went into Epcot, and I wrote down on my itinerary priorities: Test Track, Frozen Ever After, Guardians, Ratatouille, and Moana Journey of Water. So yeah, we did Genie Plus. I got a Test Track Fast Pass for Lightning Lane for it, but we ended up dropping it because when we got there, it was only 30 minutes. So I canceled it and grabbed Frozen instead. But yeah, we love Test Track. We did break down just before the launch, it was kind of funny because we just pulled out some gum, made conversation with the gentleman next to us. But I was texting my family. We were just about to launch and we broke down and they turned on all the lights. So it's a little anticlimactic, but we still had fun. They just continued the ride like normal after that. Just
too bad.
We did that.
You don't get to do the loop.
We did Guardians twice right after that. So we were very fortunate with the walking. We did Test Track. I think we hit up a food booth. I took him to Club Cool to try some of the sodas. And then we did a virtual queue with Cosmic Rewind, which we got Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which was really fun. I still haven't gotten September.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
I still haven't gotten it. But no, it was a really good ride. And then we went to a couple food booths. I'm trying to think. Like we had I had some vegetarian options. I had this vegetarian slider that was amazing. And then we went to I got some vegetarian buffalo wings and Brussels sprouts. They were so good. So we really enjoyed the food booths and used the Fast Pass for Frozen. Really liked that a lot. I mean, it's a fun ride, and he didn't know anything about it. So the drop, I was trying to spring it on him, but he saw it before it happened. So that was fun.
Spoiler. Oh, well, let me ask you this, because get your opinion. You've been on all this stuff. Velocicoaster or Guardians? Which one is the superior experience overall?
I think overall it has to be Guardians, but it's close.
Yeah.
I think Velocicoaster is great because it's so smooth, The queue is great. The setup of the ride is great. Like, they're going to let you loose in a velociraptor pen. You get to see life-size velociraptors like next to you in line. It's such a great ride.
They're very
we were
different
cackling.
experiences. Yeah, they're very different. It's really different.
Yeah, but that's also what I like about Guardians is that motion sickness aside, it's a very smooth ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good long attraction, so you feel like you got your weight's worth, so to speak. Like, it's not over in 30 seconds. It's a couple minutes long, and it's so delightful. They're both great. So, but I think in a pinch, I'd pick Guardians.
I just like to see what people say that go to both, especially on the same trip, because different experiences. But like, you had to pick one, which one you pick. So, okay, continue though. Give us a couple more highlights from this whole, because in the end, I mean, just spoiler alert, you guys walked 45 miles on this trip. 45 miles. So for those of us heading out for marathon weekend and you're doing the Dopey challenge, that's only 3 miles short of where we get 6 medals for this. You should have gotten at least 5.5 medals for this trip.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what we do? So I have to look. Epcot Day was a very successful day. We did everything. We did one thing that I wouldn't say I regretted it, but the wait for Ratatouille was over an hour, and so we decided to take the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios, and we got on the Hollywood Tower of Terror, because we don't have that anymore, because now it's the Guardians Mission Breakout.
Yep.
And he said, I love that. I miss the Hollywood Tower of Terror. And I heard it's different, but he didn't know how it was different. And I didn't spoil it for him. So we were able to go on that. And, he loved it, had such a good time experiencing something new. And then we went back on the Skyliner both times. It was so nice. It was just beautiful weather. Got to talk to some people from out of town. And then when we got back to Epcot, Ratatouille was a walk-on. So we were able to hit that up. Yeah, like, we got to the last part of the line. Like, we walked in, it was less than 15 minutes. So we were able to accomplish that last minute. And again, he hadn't been on it, so that was fun. But walking out of the park was rough. I told him, I don't know how we're going to do tomorrow. But the Epcot Day was killer. We had 2 parks that day. And then, let's see, Wednesday we did Animal Kingdom in the morning. Just hit up all the priorities. We did Avatar Flight of Passage. We did the Kilimanjaro Safaris, Expedition Everest, lunch at Yak and Yeti. We hit up the Nemo show and Dinosaur, and then we left. And then we park hopped to Hollywood Studios, and we had a Sci-Fi Diner reservation at 6:10. And we got same day reservations for Oga's as well. And so really good dining day. And I had a tip I wrote down. On Rock and Roller Coaster, unfortunately, his Magic Band flew off. Oh, no. And it was such a bummer. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense. He got it back. We had to report it to the Blue Umbrella people who saved us.
Those people are awesome. I mean, for everything. I mean, seriously, if you have a question, like you need your fortune told, just ask. Who knows? They can solve anything.
Yeah, they're magic. So we went up and hung our head in shame, said, we lost our Magic Band. And they said, report it. You're not going to get it back tonight. But sure enough, a couple days later, we got an email. They said we found it and they mailed it to us. So those people are magical.
Real quick though, because the one attraction that I'm shocked that I haven't heard you bring up is Rise. Was your friend not interested in Rise at all?
No, he was, but we have that here.
Ah, yes. I didn't think about that. See there, because you guys have Galaxy's Edge.
It was one of those, like, we both love that attraction, and if the line looked reasonable, let's do it. But it wasn't. That makes sense.
Why waste time? Because you can do it at home.
Yeah. Priorities were. I mean, we did the Hollywood Tower of Terror twice. We did Rock and Roller Coaster. That was great. We skipped Phantasmic this time. What else? We did Runaway Railway, even though we now have that here, just because he hadn't been on it yet, and I got a fast pass for it. So. Why not? That was really fun. Although the rest of the trip, we could not stop singing that song in Mickey's voice, and we don't do a good impersonation, so we were annoying each other. But that's one of my best memories is we're singing it poorly on the way to the car.
But this song is annoying. And by the way, I love the whole Toontown in Disneyland now, and how Runaway Railway is out in Disneyland. Because I was out there when they had an event I got to go out to for, and I did love that area. It's so cool looking back in that corner of the park now. So cute.
Yeah. I love Toontown. It's
so
it makes me feel like a kid.
It does. It's a neat little area. It's so cute. So give us a few more highlights.
Let's see. Our last day was really fun, and we pivoted. We started out at Tron, got to do that. We did the laugh floor, and he got picked to be Sully, which was really funny for me because I took some pictures of him while he was snarling. But we're both theater people, so he's a good sport. But yeah, he got picked to be Sully in the show, and I was just delighted. And then his favorite character is Stitch, and we were walking to Tron, and Stitch was on his way to a meet and greet place. And so we got to meet Stitch, and I got to see my friend revert back to his, 10-year-old self. He was like, "Stitch, you're my favorite." And we took pictures. It was just such a fun, start of the day. We did Big Thunder. And then I looked at him and I said, "Okay, we can park hop or we could stay here. What do you want to do?" And he said, "I want to go back to Animal Kingdom and do Expedition Everest again and Yak and Yeti again." And so I have the Landry Select Club membership, and I don't know if that helped me or not, but I told them, and we were able to get in about 45-minute wait.
I've heard that thing is worth gold for Yak and Yeti. By the way, yes, I think there's a couple restaurants at Disney Springs too, because you get a credit. I think you pay $25, but you get the credit back immediately, when you use it. So I've heard that's a huge tip. Get that Landry's, whatever that.
The Landry's card.
Yeah, absolutely, because
I love it.
Yeah, totally.
So that's what we did. We went and we ate at Yak and Yeti again, and we did Expedition Everest one more time. That's another top 5 for me. It's such a solid roller coaster, and that's great. And I didn't tell him anything about it, and he said that is a really fun ride. I'm like, yeah, it is. So it was a great last day. And then I think we left. I'm looking. Our flight left at 8 p.m. So we got 2 parks that last day, and then just drove to the airport, sat in the lounge a little bit, and then headed home. It was a great trip.
Man, I hope you caught some Z's on the flight across the country on the way back.
Yeah, it was kind of funny for me. Since I was booking with points and credits, he and I were on separate itineraries, and he got bumped forward, and I was sitting with 2 children, and it was so much fun. I think if I were guessing, they were 6 and 9, 2 little boys. And they were recommending movies to me. They said, "Oh, have you seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? You should really watch it." And the kid tipped over and fell asleep, and I just leaned on my hand. I slept a little too. It was a really fun flight home.
That'd have been my luck. I'd have been like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm teaching again." I'd have been like, "Yes, I taught elementary school. I've heard that story before." So absolutely. Wow. 2 great trips though. I mean, I love it. Your daughter's graduation, got to go out with your best friend, and I mean, you put the pedal to the metal there and just kind of see what you could do. And wow, you guys got to see it all. So as we wrap, and this has been so much fun, so I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and really start a great week with us here on the show, especially during this busy time of the year. But, one last thought or one last tip from either one of these trips, or, just something you want to share with the audience in general, maybe something you learned or just something for the greater good of the podcast audience out here.
I know it's a little cheesy, but I think it's totally true. I'm talking to all you planners like myself.
You're talking to 98% of our audience right now, just so you know.
I know it. That's why I love this community. Honestly, it's because it's people who don't make me feel out of place, because we're all about the planning. But I've had to learn that some of my favorite memories always happen on the stuff that wasn't scheduled, like running into Stitch. We didn't plan to meet Stitch. We ran into Stitch. It's a magical memory for me. That song from Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway, I'd heard it before, but hearing my bestie sing it back to me in a Mickey voice the whole rest of the trip, that's funny. And we didn't plan any of that. So you have to kind of, if the plan gets altered, it's okay. So that's all I'd have to say. It's an attitude tip.
That's right. Roll with it. You're at Walt Disney World. If it rains, dance in the rain, just keep going, have fun. If you can't get your perfect ADR, There's so many great snacks. There's other great counter service places to eat. There's other sit down restaurants. Maybe try a different cuisine today, and maybe that could be your new next favorite restaurant. You never know. That's a great attitude because
you never know.
yeah, just roll with the punches. And I mean, life's pretty good when you're at a Disney destination. That's what I always say. Hey, great way to start the week. I mean, I'm excited. I love hearing about this. So Leslie, thanks for taking the time, and can't wait to be out on West Coast, Best Coast here in a few weeks. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I always love your trip reports, Mike. I listened to your last Disneyland one at least 3 times. So
hey, this one hopefully will be even better because I get a little running in there. I've got my 4-day park hopper with my Genie Plus. There's one day Scott's dad. I don't know if anyone knows this. Maybe I'm breaking news right here. Scott's dad's joining him at Disneyland. I think it's like his first time at the park since like forever ago. So like there's one day where he's going around with his dad. So I'm going to be on the loose by myself. So I'm going to be going crazy between the 2 parks with Genie Plus, just riding everything like a madman. Yeah. So this is going to be wild. I mean, between running the 10K and a half marathon and eating all the good stuff, because they got all the good snacks. You know me, I'm cheap, so I'll probably won't sit down. I'll just eat snacks all day. Oh, I cannot wait. So just get Disneyland ready for me. Tell them I'm coming.
Oh, I will. I'll get right on it.
Good deal. All right. Thanks. You guys have a happy holiday season as well. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good holiday.
All right. Don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. The agents are setting about right now to help you plan a great Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip this week for no additional cost to you. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link this busy holiday season. It supports us throughout the year, but especially during this time of the year. So please bookmark it and use it as often as you can. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our patrons. You make these shows possible. We couldn't do it without you. And you can become a patron yourself, just $5 a month. It's like a cup of coffee a month, and you can support our podcast and you'll get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over and join our little club. It's patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media at beourguestmike on Instagram and Threads and Twitter/X. I'd love to talk to you this week. And don't forget, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we open up the phone lines so that we can take your calls and talk Disney. Anything that's on your mind, it's a good time. And we'd love to hear from you. So join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Of course, hashtag Scotty G joins me as well. And sometimes it gets off the rails, but that's what we do. We just hang out together for an hour and take your calls and have a good old time. So join us Sunday night. All right, we're going to jump out of here and let you get on with your week, but we'll be back again on Wednesday. You have a listener question. We'd love to hear it. Send it in. You can just email that right now to Mike@beourguestpodcast.com. Just put listener question in the header. Again, that's Mike@beourguestpodcast.com for listener questions. We'd love to have those as well. So for Leslie out in California, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom. Thank you. That's great. 2 for 1 right there.
2 for 1.
I'm tired after that second one. Whew.
Yeah. Although we're planning our next trip already.
Always. Yeah. Like I said, Scott planned his next one today, and we haven't even gone on the marathon trip, so he's ready to rock. So he's one up on me. I got my cruise this summer. That's the only thing I got after this one, so I got to look forward to that. Awesome. But well, I appreciate it. So you guys have a good holiday season, and
you too.
Maybe run into you at a park sometime.
Yeah, I'll keep. But like I said, I really do enjoy your trip reports when you do the California ones, because I like to hear what you think of my home park.
Oh, I love Disneyland so much. Yeah, it's bottom line. Like if I had to tell one thing about Disneyland, it's easier. Everything out there seemed easier. Like just walking from the Disneyland hotel, I didn't have to think. Like I just walked out of my hotel, just walked over to the parks. Didn't have to think about, okay, bus, monorail, boat, which that is half the fun at Disney World. Don't get me wrong. I love the boats. I love the Skyliner. I love the monorail, but it was just easy. And I could be back at Incredicoaster in DCA and be like, you know what? I feel like riding Big Thunder over at Disneyland, and I could be over there in 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It's because it was so new. My whole life, I grew up at Walt Disney World. Going from Animal Kingdom to Magic Kingdom was such, it's such a journey. You know what I'm saying? It's that's an hour. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Scott's like, we can be there in 15 minutes. I'm like, you kidding? Let's go.
Yeah, it is so much easier. That's actually, I love Disney World, but my friend, he kept asking me, he's like, how do you keep all this in your brain? And I was like, it's just, I'm listening to podcasts all the time. I'm reading blogs all the time, but it's changing all the time. Like, you know, more than anyone, being a travel agent, stuff that was new with, you know, last year's rules are not the same as this year's rules. And that's hard for the average person.
Yeah. It is like constant, like, you know, like dates, like January 9th is like stuck in my head because that's the day that like theme park reservations go away for packages at World, right? But I mean, people that have annual passes like I do, like I still got to make, you know, theme park. They haven't said anything about us. Yeah. So, and then I got some people that like, you know, like the big Disney fan in the family has an annual pass, but like in my family, like my girls don't have annual passes anymore. So like they'd be on Magic Your Way tickets. So they wouldn't need them, but I would. And so then it's a big old pain in the butt. But I think eventually they'll get there. You know, it's a step at a time kind of thing. But yep. That's what you do. I mean, it's kind of fun, but you got to stay on top of that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you know, who knows? It'll probably change while we're doing the show. It's how it is.
It could.
It's on Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see something an hour and a half.
I was telling him my first trip, I loved that you could pick out your 3 fast passes before you got to the park because I would plan how I was going to walk.
Right.
And I miss that so much. Like I make do with Genie Plus, but I don't like that I have to constantly refresh and see what's available.
Well, plus that was like a theme park reservation, right? Because that was the park you were going to because where your fast passes were. I mean, again, I'm old, but I even enjoyed, because I don't mind like walking around too much. Like I was always the mule, right? I would have to go to those fast pass dispensers and I go around and just start collecting them because this was back even before the iPhone. Because I remember I had that Nokia brick.
Yeah.
So because you could get one every 2 hours or when you used your one before. So what we would do is go early in the morning, ride a rope drop, and we'd ride stuff while the lines were super short. So we wouldn't use any of our fast passes like in the first 3 or 4 hours of the park being open. But what we do is every 2 hours we go collect them at the headliners. And they didn't enforce the return times back then at all. So we would take a midday break. So we'd leave the park at like 2 or so, like the Magic Kingdom, with like maybe 6 or 7 fast passes in our hand for stuff like Space Mountain, Big Thunder, Splash Mountain, like all the headliners. Then we'd eat dinner and come back at night. I mean, we had like 4, 5, 6 e-ticket attractions in our hand. We could just
just back to back to back to back.
Oh my God, it was like heaven. Yeah, those were the days, though. I mean, oh well, not anymore. I got paid for that stuff. You don't even get that anymore. We make it work. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. We make it work, and each system has its pros and cons, I guess. So
that was my workout every morning, and I don't get that, so I got to look at it that way.
Yeah, running. I remember we have to get there, get our paper fast pass.
Yeah, because my phone back. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, sorry guys, I'll meet you. I got to go, across the park and back to Big Thunder. Everybody give me those little credit card things. I got to stick them in the slot and get the thing. But yeah, that's what we did. All right. Well, hey, thanks for the time and have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.